Extreme forms of exclusion from society, eventually lead to radicalization, and that's why the answer also lies. We see in Molenbeek, but also in other areas in Europe, neighborhoods near cities like we see in Paris also, that there are neighborhoods in large cities that are extremely isolated. People have any way for a future. They have no sight on a job. They have no social help, whatever, even medical help often they lack. And this extreme exclusion of society leads to radicalization.
Why would we believe that this new strategy will work as the previous ones didn't prove to be able to prevent more young European Islamists to join terrorist organizations and to be part of attacks like the ones in Paris and Brussels?
I think there are successes. We had a conference, for instance, in Aarhus with mayors from 22 countries who were exchanging their experiences, how to do the prevention on radicalization. And Aarhus is a nice example. They had over 30-40 youngsters radicalizing every year, traveling to the ES area to fight in the war. And with their program, they managed to bring it back to at 0 people going every year at the moment. We've seen similar examples in the city of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, where the mayor had a huge program on prevention. And he also had many youngsters radicalizing. And he just told me last week, it's back to 3 this year. So they're quite successful in prevention. You can prevent everything. And the attacks that recently happened are examples of individuals who were also extremely excluded. I read on the internet about a more or less testament of one of the youngsters who did this. And it's a text of somebody who is extremely excluded in society. And that's where the answer lies.
So what would be the most important ideas of your paper?
What we need is awareness at the local scale, because the local scale, the mayors and the city councils, they are the people who have the closest connections with the people who live within the city. But then they must realize, and this is a form of awareness, that they must take action to have this relation with the people. Neighborhoods like Molenbeek, neighborhoods like the banlieues in Paris, are large areas within cities where the government doesn't have any relation to. There's no social police in these areas, there's no welfare, there's no social security, there's nothing. And then you get states within the states, and we must work very hard at the local level to get this relation, not only to have it, but to work with it. What you see is that people live in worlds within worlds within worlds. And if you have a religion that everybody spits on, if you have a way of life that everybody spits on, if you have a name that is very hard to get a job, it's not only personal, it's also what's been done to your brothers, it's also what's been done to your parents. And what we see, people who radicalize, even people who had a high education, they still radicalize because they have the feeling they're excluded. If you talk to them, if you analyze them afterwards, they always have the feeling they're excluded.
It seems that the time for smooth actions has passed. Prevention takes time.
Of course, we must defend ourselves against terrorists. There's nothing wrong in that reasoning. We must defend ourselves, even if it has to be done in the hard way. But that type of defense does not solve the problem. This is only protection of ourselves. That doesn't solve the problem. So we must defend. Sometimes we must be hard on the individuals, but at the same time, and this is a long-term strategy, we have to work on prevention. And the main course is the inclusion of society.
Your paper is focused on actions to promote anti-Islamophobia.
Yeah.
But Brussels or Paris aren't anti-Islamic cities.
No. But the people who do this kind of things have the feeling they are. And that's where the problem lies.
It's only a problem of communication?
No, not only. What I also learn is that the colonial past of, for instance, France in the Middle East, and the colonial past of the Belgians plays a role in this debate too. And in the cultures of the Middle East, revenge is a big thing, is an important thing. And people still are frustrated of the time, of the colonial time, and the way the Western countries behave themselves in the Middle East. This is also part of the problem.
Mr. Verbeek, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.